Hey darlings. Seryoga, what do you lack? Two wonderful children. Wife, the hostess, younger than you for 10 years. After all, I helped you get acquainted with her. I try as hard as I can for a friend. Ira keeps herself in shape and loves you. The apartment and that part of the enterprise were paid. Now such things are almost a miracle. You are lucky in everything. Why are you always so gloomy and unhappy? Michael asked his old friend. They met when they were still serving in the army. At that time, Sergey was a great guy. You could always rely on him. And he could also share the last one. But now Sergey is under 50 and he has been replaced. Talking to Misha, it's getting darker and darker. Yes, everything is fine. Let's go. He never said anything. Even after a friendly drink of a large amount of beer, his tongue did not untie. Mikhail offended this, because friends should be appreciated. At the same time, it was obvious that he loved children. As for women, his friend was always supportive of them. The road to the region was like a black cat, his first wife, Masha Ryabova. Wow, girl, you can't argue with that. Everything is with her. Her hair is thick and curly. Her eyes are like a sun-shining spark. Her legs are long, and her form is pleasant. Sergey had something to hold on to. He was jealous of them then, but only until they visited her and got to know this Masha better. And the tray of noses in one place. Masha, why are you sitting? Go to the table, collect. Friends came to me. Patriarchal, said the wife, valuable instructions of Sergey. But the friends saw that although the newly baked husband and pretending that he is sure of himself, but the voice is treacherously shuddering. I'll collect. What will be enough for your money, which you allocated on the day for the products, I'll bring it. Oh, I'm afraid it will be hard to carry. Will you help? In the tone of Masha, then the grotesque notes were clearly heard. It was not customary in their circle for women to discuss family problems with strangers. In theory, it was possible to please the spouse, but why should he be ashamed in front of everyone? Smart wives do not act like this. Here, Aunt Sergey always put this Ryabova in the corner. Why are you making me a fool of the guys? Sergey asked his wife in the kitchen in a loud whisper, and his friends heard everything perfectly, but pretended that nothing was happening. After all, unlike Masha, they are educated people. You got me because you eat double lunch at the canteen yourself, and you give me a penny, and you take some of this money for yourself. Oh, if I knew that I was in such a relationship, I would never marry you. The insolent Masha was shocked. They looked at each other with their friends. There, how insolent. Then Misha failed to hear what the conversation ended. Guys, let's go to the cafe. I'll take you there. Since we were poorly received here. Sergey demonstratively looked at Masha and added, Kokoznitsa. In my collective farm, with someone like you, we wouldn't sit down on the same row, neither big nor small. There, don't forget your dream, you fool. She tore off the pictures with the image of an expensive lighter and a red car from the wall above the sofa. Sergey attached his dreams to the sofa in his youth, so that when he woke up, he could immediately remember what he lives for. And this fool is the first wife. Nothing meant the importance of motivation for the male sex. Sergey's friends then discussed it among themselves, saying that Sergey shouldn't have chosen such a village. In addition, Masha grew up in a multi-parent family. The shortcomings of upbringing were obvious, and although she was not evil and seemed to love Sergey, they could not live together. Mikhail remembered well that this was preceded. He advised his friend to tell his wife that he would not pay for the studio in the outskirts of the city. He said they would live together at Aunt Sergey's. Aunt Tamashka was not inspired and did not want to live with a wise aunt. Mikhail was now tormented by the question, why did he then give all these advice to his friend? After all, it was his idea about the limit on food and about the arrival of the aunt and much more about what Sergey naively consulted with him. And for some reason he gave advice, angry. How now suddenly he began to understand. It turns out he is to blame for his friend, and it is necessary to tell everything. Especially his thought was tormented that he suggested to Sergey to tell Masha. He said, "Let the child be carried by himself if he gives birth." Sergey said so. He said, "I don't care. Dad is a lot. You want to give birth. But it will be your problems. And if you are going to be a good wife, then you will give birth when I decide." And then he said to Michael, this collective farmer, as always, got angry, saying, "I have nothing sacred. I have no opinion, and besides, about cars and lighters, I can't dream about anything human. Oh, forget it. You'll find yourself younger. A man is always in the price, like a cognac, the older the better." He still laughed stupidly back then and hated himself. Michael himself did not understand why one part of his personality turned red, and the other did not agree with it. He would like something to remain, but it did not work out. And then Seryoga said a phrase to him that still burned his soul with fire. For some reason, nothing tormented him as much as these words. "But I love Masha. Do you think that life will bring me love just as by order as many times as I want?" asked his friend. "So, that's it. You're out of luck, buddy. These women know how to push us into tears." He hurried to finish this conversation, and the next day he came in and saw that his friend was watching films about abortion and his eyes were red. But Mark had to be kept, and he didn't go to the World Cup with Masha. "Masha, how are you?" A familiar voice was heard on the phone. It was Mikhail. Since she broke up with her first husband Sergey, Mikhail has been in touch all the time, trying to help. He came to her, asked how she was doing, but she raised her son herself. Now Kostya didn't need any help. He soon began to make money. She wanted to make life easier for her mother. Masha Aryabova never complained about life. She continued to carry golden eggs. She believed that she was living wonderfully. Of course, she saw the unscrupulous people from difficulties, but did not think that this needed to pay a lot of attention. You like to ride. You like to carry naps. She managed to get a job in a private kindergarten. Then a rich client lured her, who noted that this educator's love for children is sincere and unwavering. And Ryabova as if felt what baby should be told. Mikhail was angry all this time that Masha's help was not needed. Sometimes she took from him food, but then she gave him something equal. And when he offered to stay and poke some bun, she just raised her eyebrows and said, "Misha, we talked about it a long time ago. You are not interesting to me as a man. We will not play these games." Like, he poked a shelf and she wanted to stay overnight. And the bed was alone and they warmed up. Isn't it funny to you yourself? After all, we are adults. I told you from the very beginning, there is no friendship between a man and a woman. You can't control yourself. Don't call and don't come. Is it hard to remember? She said sharply and straight to him, as always, when she wanted to say something important in her opinion. Well, you shouldn't have done that. I have no problems at the personal front. I just felt sorry for you. And you've already thought about yourself, Mikhail told her. But she looked at him without a smile. But ironically, he understood. But the world did not roll over again. Sometimes Mikhail began to talk about the new young wife of her former, and received from this some unhealthy pleasure. Masha, in the first years after the separation, did not have the strength to stop him. He saw that she loved Sergey, and almost physically felt that her love for life, sincerity and not malice, as if his own veins were flowing for some time. But after a while, this stopped working, and he didn't think of anything else to hook it with. He tried to discuss the rapid birth of Babyavek and competition, but it didn't work. Mikhail tried to take over Masha for more than one night, as she expected. He wanted to get her for the rest of his life. She would be like a ring of strength that would make him normal, sympathetic, and not a nasty traitor, an addict, a traitor. "Mom, why do you need Santa Barbara?" asked her son Kostya. "Dad has been talking to me since I was 5 years old. Why do you tolerate this moron Uncle Misha?" a traitor and a bastard. Kostya learned from his mother collective habit of saying everything as it is, and not "I'm just curious how long he will last." Masha laughed and hugged her son. Kostya, don't be dramatic. You know that on the personal front, I'm fine. I'm not some eternally suffering mother who carried you like a cross. I love you and consider your appearance to be a great happiness. And I don't love your dad, but I don't hate him either. Masha thought. She still could not understand how she treated Sergey. In her youth, she did not have time to love him, but she hoped very much that he would give her a chance. Young women often marry those who have loved them, and in love, young men, having married such women, often begin to be impudent and think that the bird is already in the cage and can be relaxed. Only mature husbands know that women need to conquer all life, and this is the norm. And inexperienced husbands often start to behave like round idiots. Envious friends, relatives, here is here. And everything is deepened because many people, having lost their own happiness, consider it their duty to help to lose the only true love to those they envy. Let everyone be unhappy now. Such is life. So there was nothing unusual about Masha Ryabova's situation. The problem was only one thing. Sergey continued to love her and from time to time proposed that he would leave his wife. He would not abandon his children from the second marriage and help them. Masha was sure that he was a good father. Only the hope of the former that you can enter one river twice was to be eradicated. Ryabova had long been a man for the soul and the heart. They lived in a guest house because Masha sincerely believed that it was not necessary to bring a man to a house in which a child lives from another man. Of course, many of her acquaintances managed to find quite decent fathers for their children, but exactly the same part of other acquaintances ended up in a mess. Masha failed the statistics, and it turned out that even at the most optimistic estimates, there is only 50% chance that the father will at least just be normal to his illegitimate child, and she did not want to risk it. And now the son was going to get married himself, so it will be possible to finally set up your personal life. But with Sergey, she will probably stop communicating at all. And then it doesn't look good. He has 10 and 12 years old children. She sees him behind his wife's back. And although they have nothing and will not, but Kostya is right, it's time to end this nonsense. She will not communicate with him or Misha. Sergey, I want to confess to you that all these years I tried to hit on Masha and gave you bad advice. And I also have to tell you, she gave birth to your son, and he grew up a good guy. And she also got married to some rascal. I just happened to recognize a friend who organized their wedding in a pious restaurant. She was always looking for money. I'm sorry, Sergey, said Mikhail to his friend. Oh, so she stopped talking to you too? Vyala Sergey waved. Mikhail was shocked. He expected anything. Now his friend will hit his face or swear with incensory words, or even throw out the window. Fortunately, this is the first, but he definitely did not expect this. Ryabova told me that you have been calling her all these years. It was very funny. She called us fools who themselves do not know what they want. And she also asked me, you know what? Asked Sergey, looking somewhere in the distance. What? Mikhail asked with a hoarse voice. He still did not have time to be surprised, but he already felt bad. My heart ached. Did I achieve my goals in life? Did I buy a lighter and a red car? Sergey either laughed or coughed and added, and I wanted to say that everything is fine with me. And my wife is young, and I have children, and lovers happen. And I bought a lighter. But about the car, I just changed my mind. I wanted to throw it all in her face. Let him wash, I think. Sergey kept silent for a long time. And how? He threw it away? With hope, Michael asked. He even forgot about his surprise that his friend knows that he betrayed him. It seems that even Sergey would like to beat him. Now Michael wanted one, on behalf of the male brotherhood, to beat this insolent and unbearable which has crossed their light self-sufficient male paths and ruined their whole life. They were just obliged to do it, to defeat Masha. Otherwise, somehow, the secret knowledge of a happy life of a woman, despite everything, can spread among others. And then all their boyish tricks will stop working. And to start a relationship of love, you will have to grow up. For an adult man. And it's somehow painful, isn't it? Michael was surprised himself. Where did it lead him? Perhaps it is necessary to read less on the internet articles about the fact that life is spoiled exclusively by women by men. Maybe it's even somehow stupid that if he considers Masha weak, then he fights with her on equal terms and tries to win. The thought did not have time to continue. His friend decided to tell something else about the fight, with a long life. I looked her in the eyes and understood. She regrets me? Or what? Somehow in a maternal way, as if I was a baby from her kindergarten. In general, I am to blame for the fact that I have long stopped being a man for her. I've always had something missing in life, and now I understand what. What? Asked Misha. He opened his mouth with greed, as if he can make Sergey open his mouth and tell everything. And he will pull out the precious secret, and then he will be able to resist Masha. You yourself should understand this, or rather suffer, said Sergey. Since recently, he has been smiling more often with his wife and children. After all, if you break a golden egg, you need to learn to protect at least the egg simple, otherwise you will lose it. But he will not tell this to Mishka. He's gone. And by the way, why is he talking to him all these years? In memory of Oryabova? Maybe there's a club for all those who know how to organize it. Uzanoza. And it's good that they have a common son. Subscribe to the channel. I will be grateful for the like under the video. See you soon.